Don in London, hello. It's September 23rd. My video is all about recovery from addiction to either substance or behaviour, or both in my case. My addictive substance, alcohol, so I'm now an alcoholic in recovery, one day at a time, and equally around behaviour, to do with people, places and things. Being in the right place, with the right people, doing the right things, having the right things, you name it, trying to be whatever I was supposed to be, or what I thought you wanted me to be. So these days, a little bit more relaxed about life. This wonderful September the 23rd, with a bit of sunshine in what has been a very wet summer. Yeah, a bit of sunshine helps a lot. What doesn't help a lot is having to restore my computer to an earlier time because I thought I knew better. And that's one of the things I've learned in recovery. I often don't know better than other people. So I keep on getting wisdom from others about how to live life and even deal with my computer. So my videos are all about the 12-step program of the Fellowship of AA, Alcoholics Anonymous. I don't speak for anyone in the Fellowship of AA, and I certainly don't speak for the Fellowship of AA as a whole, because we are merely trusted servants. We all have the same equal status. There are no leaders, and what I know about the Fellowship, what you see is what you get when you go to meetings and meet people. And it's the very many voices of people in recovery which makes the difference to me. So I don't get all my wisdom or learning how to live life from one person on a daily basis, and I certainly don't trust my memory or my past experiences to fulfill all my needs today. So I may have gained a lot of wisdom or just simply experience of life over the years. I don't necessarily believe it's the definitive answer to all my problems as they manifest now. So I'm very lucky. I've learned that learning is a daily experience, that humility is about the ability to keep on learning life, and I'll know more about who I might be by the end of today. So all bets are off when it comes to the old way of living, that is, being in the malady or allergy of addiction, not being able to stop self-harm, not being able to stop drinking alcohol, not being able to stop thinking I need to be or I want to be with the right people in the right place doing the right things. And this applies in the Fellowship of AA as much as anywhere else, because you will find people who are ecstatically happy, have formed little groups, and not little groups, but just groups of people they get on with. And it's like any community. We all have affiliations to particular ideas, and we gravitate towards people we feel can help us. That is in fellowship towards sobriety. So if you don't hear your story in one meeting, your life story, or what happened to another person which is so similar, it could be your life story. We keep on going to meetings until we find people who have similar stories to share, so we can find out how they got sober, and we can keep sober as well. So it's how to get sober, how to keep sober. That's what fellowship is for me. So I don't represent AA, and I never can, never will, and never want to. That's good. The good news. The bad news, no, there is no bad news. If you're sober today, you've got a good chance of going to bed tonight without a drink. And regarding anything else which may happen, if we're open, honest and willing, we have a better chance of life being as it may be, experiencing the good side and also the bad side of life. Two sides of the same coin. Life. Just life in general. And my videos, I do them because I was asked and answered by doing them again and again and again. So I believe recovery is one day long in this new world of sobriety, and that life continues to happen just now. So if anything can influence the way my life is working or not working, as I deem it so, I have a fellowship to back me up and ask questions, ask for help when I haven't been able to help myself. And that was the very truth of where I got to with my alcoholism, desire to keep on trying to be the person I thought you wanted me to be. So no longer driven by drink, no longer driven to try and fit in, and bend myself so I fitted with what you wanted. I still do a lot around being part of, but I don't have to undermine myself in order to do it. So confidence, self-esteem, open, honest and willing to face life on life's terms. That's where I've got to. And it seems to work out pretty well. And on a week like this one, where I've not been able to get out due to physical impediments, 2 slipped discs and trapped nerves, it has been quite difficult. And even though it's been quite difficult, there are many times where life has been more than adequate. Life has and is worth living. So for someone who has other chronic conditions, having lived long enough to have them either identified and diagnosed, or simply just got new chronic conditions as life has gone on, I'm still here. I'm still here after all these years. Or as they say, or Paul Simon said, still crazy after all these years. But a chance of being restored to sanity just for today. If I don't drink, and if I don't obsess about other behaviour, right people, right place, right time, right things, doing the right things. So life is more enjoyable, doable in the moment of now. And I've got my choices back. Choices based on what my real life circumstances are. So if I can't get about, I do something else useful. If I can't do this or that or the other, I can probably do something else. And find worth and worthwhile things to do. Worthy and worthwhile things to do. So how has this transformation happened? And how much was I responsible for it? Well, my responsibility was to try learn again how to keep on doing life without drink and obsessive self-harming behaviour. And the Fellowship of AA provided a route through for me to be able to do that. On this little card here, on one side it's got the AA preamble, which is shared at every meeting of AA I go to, and what you see is what you get. So it's attraction to similarities, not promotion, because no guarantees, no fixing, and no promises beyond what real life can offer. Inside this card it's got the 12 steps and 12 traditions, the 12 steps for me to find an open, honest, willing path forwards, and the 12 traditions, which are about keeping the fellowship in good condition, in fit condition and fit for purpose, around unity, around a purpose, service, helping others, and recovery, being sober one day at a time and building on it. And the most useful thing was to let go of all the old stuff which was hampering my life, mainly my self-will, willpower, and all sorts of things to do with wanting it my way, because if I got it my way then it would be okay. But no amount of trying and willpower seemed to let me conquer my alcoholism, my addiction. And it took a long time to let go of old ideas and attitudes which I'd learned over the years to do with standing on my own 2 feet, putting on a brave face and enduring often the unacceptable in my life as it was. So the AA preamble, followed by some readings which I'll tell you where they come from in a moment, from my head and also from AA literature. So the AA preamble, which gives the game away, how it works. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organisation or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. So one requirement, a desire to stop drinking, no rules, laws or regulations to put us down or try and make us do it a particular way. And it's free if you've got no money. and it's free if you have got money, but it's a personal choice whether you contribute to rent, tea, coffee, biscuits and literature, so we can give away some of the wisdom. Entirely voluntary. You only do what you feel is right to do, and if you haven't got very much money, I suggest you buy food rather than try and give a contribution when you cannot afford it. That's just my suggestion, nobody else's. And AA isn't allied to anything, but everybody in the fellowship is. So you're going to hear stories, ideas, new ideas, wisdom, cult type stuff, dogma type stuff, belief systems type stuff, affiliations type stuff. I think I've already said that. In other words, we don't lose what is working for us. We don't let go of it. We just add in what is good for us so the rest of life can happen. How to be sober. So if you hear people sounding off about their particular ideas and trying to impose their views or their will on you, you can suggest very calmly and clearly, please keep your views to yourself when it comes to other outside matters. The only reason why I'm here is for sobriety. But it is in the stories of other people where their lives have gone and why that we learn the wisdom. So you have to be careful not to throw the baby out with the bathwater. The baby in this case is new living, sobriety and life working again. So the bathwater can be everybody else's story, which sounds unfamiliar and not helpful. We are humans having a very human experience of life, and it's painful sometimes, just because it's painful, and that can be in an emotional way and a spiritual way. And the reason why I use those words, fellowship is about emotional and spiritual and physical sobriety. So physical sobriety can come fairly quickly, that is, we don't rattle or shake anymore because of the alcohol, which is now gone. And then the emotional, feeling the feelings which fit the moment of now. Feelings, emotions, fitting with spiritual, coping with what's going on today. Spiritual life is now, and every element of life we have lived so far is spiritual. The quality of our experience is down to what has happened and what we've remembered and what we've learned. So the quality of the spiritual experience improves to fit real life, experiencing real life on life's terms. Now that sounds quite good to me, but in the early days, so if I keep moving, it's extreme pain bothering me in my back, and I can smile about it rather than frown about it and throw myself into bed, and I don't do that. I will have to go lie down and rest. That's the only thing I can do, but after I've done the video. So at the AA preamble, my video is predominantly about the steps in action, the 12-step program, which are on this card with the 12 traditions, and September, 9th step, 9th month, is all about make direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. So it's about making restitution and putting right the wrongs where we can, but not doing further harm by invading other people's lives and privacy in order to do that, because that would be self-serving and self-seeking. But saying, by the way, now I've apologised to you, what about you apologising to me? Well, these steps aren't about that. The steps are about our personal conduct and how we relate to the world today. So step 9 is one of the final big ones to clear the wreckage of the past, if you like. And in this book, this is it. Daily Reflections. It covers 1 page a day and relates to the steps and traditions of AA. Sometimes a bit obscure, which is why I say it's all about making amends, this one, step 9, without doing harm to other people. And the other tradition, the tradition for September is AA as such ought never be organised, but we may create service boards or committees directly responsible to those they serve. So what does that mean? It's not organised where we have administration and levels and leaders and people who tell us what to do. We know that won't work. There are no rules, laws or regulations, just traditions or suggestions about how we may conduct ourselves within the fellowship and probably outside the fellowship as well. So we equalise our size to that of everyone else. But it doesn't stop us having the ability to assert our understanding of what's good right now and then debate it. So we work together almost like a democratic anarchy, because nobody can say you can't say anything. And that's really important, because any rule, regulation or law will tip lots of people out of fellowship, and overly expressing one's own point of view, which I think I do sometimes, can actually turn people off. But hopefully we find a balance over the time that we are getting sober. So today's reading from the Daily Reflections, which I just mentioned, it says here, I was an exception, and this was written by Bill Wilson, co-founder. I was an exception. Said to me gently and simply, do you think that you were one of us? And that was the question asked. Do you think one of us, an alcoholic? During my drinking life, I was convinced I was an exception. I thought I was beyond petty requirements and had the right to be excused. I never realised that the dark counterbalance of my attitude was the constant feeling that I did not belong. At first in AA, I identified with others only as an alcoholic. What a wonderful awakening for me it has been to realise that, if human beings were doing the best they could, then so was I. All of the pains, confusions and joys they feel are not exceptional, but part of my life, all of the pains, confusions and joys they feel are not exceptional, but part of my life, just as much as anybody's. So what I said just now, when we get sober, we find we have all the same feelings, all the same natural instincts, if you like, as every other human. And even at our worst, it was the best we could be in that moment in time. That's as much as we knew of how to survive. And the more I drank, and in my final doomed days of drinking, the best I could do was isolate, shut out the world, and in extreme fear sit on a park bench on my own, wondering where had everything gone to. There was nothing left, inside or outside, down to a bag of stuff. Not so these days. I've somehow managed to accumulate quite a lot of second-hand stuff, but also let go of a lot of second-hand stuff in my head. So 23rd of September for me, on this beautiful day actually. Some of my thoughts for today, and maybe they're the same as previous years. Here we go. Denial of the obvious can be very difficult to accept. At my worst, stuck in the malady of addiction, my behaviour was the best it could be. And the same applies for all human behaviour in the moment. When I feel the hurt and see the hurt inflicted by others, it is a horrible experience. Even on the worst of their days, it is the best they can be at that time and place. I can change my outlook, attitudes and behaviour, but I'm powerless over theirs. And some of the things I feel, forgive, let go and move on whenever possible today. So it's not about me turning around and saying, you're doing it wrong, you're doing it right, how dare you, all that stuff. If it's the best they can be and I'm powerless over their attitudes and behaviour, let them be. The consequences are, I find people I need be with, rather than I want to be with, just the ones I need be with to keep sober, and life keeps on going. And this morning particularly, the phrase, where ignorance is bliss, 'tis folly to be wise. I think it's Thomas Gray. Where ignorance is bliss, 'tis folly to be wise. And I was relating back to, some things go back in my head to years and years ago. I think I was talking about relationships to some people. To feel betrayed and let down by those we love is difficult and extremely painful. If I did not know, I am safe from pain, and love prevails in blissful ignorance. So where ignorance is bliss, not knowing, 'tis folly to be wise, and the wisdom of knowing is often the pain is excruciating when we feel betrayed or let down, and was always a good reason to drink. But then I had a habit from a very early age where oblivion was the absolute imperative when it came to drinking, because life was so awful. So, knowing the truth and dealing with the consequences, wisdom and experience teaches me. My higher power, this is for me, my higher power, embodies truth, love and wisdom. A return to reality is both a rude and spiritual awakening. So a return to reality, sober, understanding the truth of situations, not my opinion or belief, but the truth. How to love, be loved back, and this wisdom. It is both a rude and spiritual awakening. Spiritual, for me, is living in the moment of now and being able to cope with it, finding the truth of what is going on, who loves us, how we can love people back, and the ongoing wisdom we get from that. So less denial, less ignorance, more bliss in the moment of now. And ignorance is not bliss, because either if we are ignorant of something and it's impacting on us big time, like alcohol did for me, kept me in ignorance about my own physical, mental and spiritual well-being, alcohol did, because it took the edge off me. It fixed me. And that's similar to fellowship. Fellowship cannot fix me, but it can inform me, offer up the wisdom of how to, and stay stopped from drinking. So when I say less denial, less of the I cannot believe it, less letdowns, less being let down, less betrayal of myself or others, more bliss in the moment of now. I can be more happy in the moment of now when I get with the right people, be with the right people, not trying to control them, being a part of, included, finding the truth, love and wisdom of now. That all sounds quite good, actually. It works a lot of the time, but then again other people may be in a place of ignorance because they feel frightened that they may be let down or betrayed, or they are being let down and betrayed, but they don't want to know because they want to hang on to something which may have once existed. That's truth, love and wisdom. So it's very difficult to be a human being because a certain amount of little white lies are often tolerated. Do I look good in this? Should I shave my face? What should I do about this? Oh no, you're all right, you're looking good. Hey, you're looking fine, all that sort of stuff. When in fact you don't, and you feel crap. So a little bit of truth. Yes, you may look a bit sought into right now, but the most important thing is to do the right thing. So I don't ignore 2 slipped discs and a trapped nerve, which are giving me grief. Go on my bicycle and think I can go to meetings without pain. If I go to a meeting, it's going to be very painful physically, but it might be good for my emotional and spiritual well-being. So I have to weigh it all up like everybody else does. And then in previous years, exceptions to the rule. If we alcoholics feel a certain way right now, taking a drink may change the feeling we have, and it may take the edge off the feeling, or make it more pronounced. So we use alcohol as a fixing tool. There are no exceptions to this rule. Drink changes our perception of reality. This applies to everyone. Even if you're not an alcoholic, your perception is changed by alcohol. Why else would you drink it? To live real life, we stop self-harm and stop harming others just for today, or a day at a time. And every single day when we are at our worst in that moment, I am doing the best I can with what has happened and what I can do. So at their worst, other people are doing their best right now. How we react, or better, how we respond, says more about us than it does about them. How we behave, our attitudes and behaviour. As others harm themselves, we need not follow them today or do the same. And I know in the past when I knew I was being betrayed and let down, I wanted 2 things. First, that it didn't happen, denial of truth. Second, that I would be told the truth, and hopefully it was a mistake, and then we could carry on finding out how to love, finding the truth, how to love and be loved back, and keep on learning the wisdom of life together. Women in my life. And it's a two-way street in all of this. So because I was in denial and preferred ignorance, blissful ignorance, even though I knew it wasn't true, really, I would persevere waiting for the answer, or feeling resentful because the answer wasn't forthcoming, or having such good perception I could tell when things were going wrong, and when approached with let's help ourselves together to find out where we are, denial could be coming straight back at me, equal to the size and magnitude of my own denial. Because fear of loss, fear of being found out as well, fear of being found out could be critical to a person's self-esteem or ego. Ego generally for me covers up shame and guilt about not being good enough or something's gone wrong. Ego is cover-up, whereas self-esteem says, please let us look at the truth of where we are and what we can do. Truth, love, wisdom. Love needs truth to survive. It doesn't need blissful ignorance, as if there were such a state, because that then leads on to denial of the truth of now. Step 9, sharing the truth of what we did and making amends where it's appropriate and restitution where it's appropriate. And part of the living amend of step 9 is not doing it again. Changing our attitude and behaviour to favour equality and truth. And in some countries they've had things like the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. But you know, even though countries much younger than us in their history and their political outlooks have come to truth and reconciliation a lot faster than a lot of us Westerners in how we deal with life, our own personal lives, let alone our political lives, or the life that our countries lead and what they do behind the scenes, as if it was ever a good thing to be secretive. Better to be open and find out who's on your side and espouse the virtues of democracy than espouse the virtues of democracy and do something quite different. We all get found out in the end, and history always comes out, even if it's kept a secret for 50, 70, 100 years under secrets, the secrecy acts of countries. But in fellowship what we know is secrets keep us stuck. Secrets, not telling the truth, keep us stuck in old behaviour. So the sooner we can let go of the secrets through the working the 12-step principles in our lives, then we are onto a much firmer set of ground. We let go the horror of what do people know about me. In the end it doesn't matter, because they will judge me anyway, to be part of or not be part of. And if I leave them in ignorance and then they feel betrayed and let down, they won't want to know me anyway. So truth will out. 'Tis true, truth will out in the end. And there's nothing worse than a feeling of betrayal or letdown. I try not to do it. But there is always denial and there's always ignorance, because sometimes we just don't know what we're trying to hide from people. So we keep on learning. I mean, if it was all set and perfect, there'd be no point to a long life, would there? It's not all about pleasure, or is it? It's finding happiness in the situation in which we live. Happiness, joy, sad, as life is, 50-50, one way or another, or both. It's a combination every single day, negative and positive, positive and negative. And we learn equally from both, and we can cherish both experiences, the light and the dark of it all. So at the end of these videos, which helps me with the light and the dark, the truth always. And this serenity prayer, which is to God, which I feel is embodied in truth, love and wisdom, or simply a higher power of your choice. It is always your choice how it works. And the serenity prayer is understanding what we can do and cannot do today. What I can do today is I can choose to a large extent how my attitude is, my behaviour is, if I'm becoming self-aware, which is what the 12 steps all do. But I can't change you. I can't change you. I'm powerless over people, places and things. They may have some influence to an extent, but if I try and exert my power over you, I'm making you prisoners of my thoughts and feelings, but I'm also being a jailer. Imprisoning others is much a prisoner of my own head. So I like to look outwards and learn wisdom from others as much as possible on a daily basis. And that's what the Serenity Prayer or exhortation or meditation does. It's the to God or in good conscience one. God, grant me the serenity. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference for me is in the moment and just for today.